for those of you who don't know me. I'm really glad that you could all come to this memorial. You know, we're celebrating, or we're marking the 1-year anniversary of Bob's death because of COVID. You know, it was impossible to do an in-person memorial. And I kept thinking, you know, it's gonna be over, it's gonna be over, it's gonna be over. And it isn't over, and it's not safe to travel. And so this is what we're doing instead. And so thank you all very much for coming. We see, Dorian, can you share your screen and show folks the outline of the memorial?
Yeah, I had it pinned here. It's in the video. It's showing at the top of my screen anyway.
It's really hard to see.
I've pinned it now. Can you see it now?
No, can you share the screen just so that people can see it in?
That's what I'm doing.
Let's all see that?
It's my profile photo.
You can see that? Oh, okay. Brad's saying he can see it, so it's just me who can't see it. Okay. All right. So this is, you know, sort of the agenda. I have prepared some photos and some music of Bob's life to kind of from beginning to the end. And after that, I'll have a few words to talk about Bob. And then we have some recordings of some tributes from some people that were close to him. And then after all of that, I will leave the Zoom meeting open, and we'll open the mics to people so you can share. And anybody who has a story or a memory, something that they'd like to share about Bob, that would be great. That'd be lovely. So Dorian, if you could start the photo montage, please.
I was born a little rock, had a childhood sweetheart. We were always hand in hand. I wore high top shoes and shirt tail. Susie was a pigtail. I knew I loved her even then. So my papa disapproved it, my mama booed it, but I told her time and time again I was made to love her, the world all around her. Hey, hey, hey. My baby loves me, my baby needs me. That's why we made it through the years. I was made to love her, worship and adore her. Hey, hey, hey. All through thick and thin, I love just win. I love my baby, my baby loves me, my baby needs me. I know I am going nowhere. I was hot to a chicken when the love loved it. Had the fever with it passing in. get over that line. I can make love to you all 1 hour at a time. I'm a man. I spell it L-A-M. I'm a man, baby. was dancing with my baby to the Tennessee waltz when an old friend I happened to see. I introduced him to my baby, and while they were dancing, my friend stole my baby from me. Well, I remember that night when that Tennessee waltz. Well, you know just how much I've lost. Well, I lost my baby. The night that they were playing that beautiful Tennessee waltz.
You're muted.
I want to thank Jennifer Kim for helping me put that together. She did a really, really nice job. So for those who might have come in a little late, my name is Deb Lewis. I'm Bob Comstock's wife. We were together for almost 27 years. And, you know, one question that Bob and I used to get all the time was, you know, how did that happen? How did you two guys get together? You're a professor, he's a musician. That's just kind of crazy. So how did that happen? And it was a pretty improbable relationship, I will admit that. But I met Bob the summer of '93. My kids were at their dad's house for the summer, and I was finishing up my work on my dissertation and getting ready to take my first faculty position at a university in Pittsburgh. And so I had a yard sale to sell all my graduate school stuff. And Bob came, and he was going to help move some furniture that Bruce Lott had bought for his store. And so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to him. He was just this guy who was upstairs taking down bunk beds and carrying them out. And I was holding the sale, and he left. And then he came back about an hour later, and he bought an album, Allman Brothers Live at the Fillmore East. And we might have chatted a little bit at that time, but honestly, I don't remember because I was not paying any attention to him. And then he left, and then he came back a third time. And this time he bought a 10-cent dish drainer, which I thought was pretty funny. And but it got my attention. And you know, but the fact of the matter is that I was moving in a few weeks, and I really was not interested in any kind of starting up any kind of relationship or anything. It was just didn't make any sense to me. So he left, and then as fate would have it, the very next night I went down to the Commons to a bar to say goodbye to a friend of mine who was tending bar there. And this guy was hassling me, you know, harassing me, and he was kind of a jerk. And I hear on the other side of me this voice saying, "Hey man, she's with me." And I turned around, and it was Bob. And he said, "Hey, you remember me? I was at your yard sale yesterday." And I said, yeah, sure, I remember you. And we started talking. He said, "Well, I've got a friend who's playing some music down at Macabre's. You want to go hear him? And I said, sure, why not? And so that was Steve Southworth, and he was playing. And, you know, I don't know what happened that night. I just know it was extraordinary. And I just know that at the end of the night, I gave him my phone number, even though I didn't want any kind of relationship. And he certainly did not want to be anybody's graduation toy. But despite that, we started seeing each other. And when I say we started seeing each other, I mean, every day, we could not be apart. And at that point, I had no idea who he was. You know, he was just this guy who came to my yard sale and took the furniture away. And I just knew that I was falling in love with him. So one morning he turns on the radio and it's Bernie Milton's show. And Bernie said, I'm going to play a few songs by a local musician, the great Bobby Comstock. And I must have looked like I was completely confused and shocked and like, what's going on here? What, you know what, Bobby Comstock, what? And he started laughing at me and he would not stop laughing. And because I was just so blown away and didn't know what to think. And that was how he chose to tell me about who he was. And of course, after that, you know, there started many, many, many stories of the road and his career. So in a few weeks, I, you know, packed up everybody and we went to Pittsburgh and Bob joined us just a couple of weeks after that. And when he came to Pittsburgh, he said to me, he said, Deb, he said, I've had my career. What I want to do now is I want to help you become a superstar in yours. And that's exactly what he did. With that one statement, he changed his life completely. He went from being the musical director, of Madison Square Garden shows. He went from being the band leader, the guy in charge, the guy who was pulling everything together across the country. And he took on a support role. And he would pack me a lunch in the morning and send me off to school. He'd get up every morning and fix me a beautiful salad. And he got a driver's license because he had never had a license. He was 52 years old. He'd never had a driver's license. And the way he explained it to me was that he had been on the road his whole life and somebody was always driving a tour bus or a limo or an RV and he had no reason to be driving. And when he got off the road, the last thing he wanted to do was to be in a vehicle. So he just never did. But he found himself in a position where he was driving around a gaggle of girls in a minivan to the skating rink or the mall or someplace like that. So he had to have a driver's license. And our house became the place where kids hung out after school, not only because Bobby was like the coolest dad around, which he was, but also because Bob just really loved those kids. He learned all of their names. He knew half of their stories and they could feel that and they knew it and they loved him back. He became the confidant of my two daughters, Caitlin and Dorian. They told him their secrets and they knew he would keep them. And I know that there's secrets still out there that I have no idea about. My daughter's laughing and she knows what they are. And he just kept supporting all of us. And he loved that role. He loved doing that. He loved being helpful to people. He loved to take care of people. And that's what he did to Caitlin and Dorian and I. All the way through college, when Dorian was in college, she was making films and Bob would cater the shoots and do craft services. And again, he knew the name of all of the crew, all of the actors. He loved being on the set and he would regale them with all kinds of stories of the road whenever they were setting up shoots and had downtime. And he was so happy doing that and playing that role. And he was so good at it. In the end, in the last couple of years, the excesses of the road started to catch up with him. And he started having some pretty serious health issues. And in the last year, he really wasn't very mobile anymore, and couldn't get around, couldn't talk to the neighbors and tell them stories. Bob was always full of stories. And but so what happened was is that I decided that I would start working from home. And you know, that's one of the things that was a beautiful thing out of what he gave me, because he did let me put all my energy into my career. I was able to work my way into a position where I had the authority and I had the credibility to work from home and this was before COVID, before anybody was working at home, particularly deans. And so, but I could do that. And so I would sit on the couch with the laptop and work, and Bob would sit in the chair next to me and watch the Yankees or watch the news, and he'd chatter at me about, you know, baseball trivia or politics or something. I'd hear about 10% of what he said because I was working, but he didn't have to be alone. And that was the important thing. About 6 months before he died, we were having a conversation, and I asked him what was the most important thing in his life to him. And he said, without hesitation, he said, family. And I looked at him, waiting for him to say something more. And he just bit his bottom lip, you know, the way he did. You guys know the way he did? And he shrugged a little bit and he said, that's it, just family. But Bob's definition of family was really inclusive. You know, he had his blood family. He had Melissa and Bobby, his children, his grandchildren, Maya and Markel, who he was so incredibly proud of. And then he had his married family, me, Caitlin and Dorian, and our grandchildren, Austin and Madison, who he doted on. And he had his musician family, the guys that he had been playing music with his whole life, that he had shared all kinds of ups and downs with and great experiences. And so what I've asked folks to do is I asked a few of them, these friends and family, to make a little tribute to Bob, some memory, something that they remember about him, some story that will give you some sense of who Bob was to all these wonderful people. And so Dorian, if you would play that video for me, please.
Hello, Duke Shanahan here. It's my honor to pay tribute to Bob Comstock. Thank you for the invitation. I first met Bobby 1970-ish. I was in a band and we were going to do an album. And Bob and our agent, John Perry Ellis, they were partners in the publishing company that we're going to be associated with. So, and Bob was to help us arrange the songs for the album. So we rehearsed at his house outside of Ithaca, New York for several weeks. And then we all headed to RCA Studios in New York City. After about 8 years, I ran into Bob again in another studio in Trumansburg, New York. I was with a band, we were doing some demos, and after a year or two, I was going to leave that band, and Bobby just happened to call me to ask if I was interested in joining his band. And of course I said yes. He was saying, we're going to be doing some rock and roll revival shows for Richard Nader, and then playing locally in between the shows, you know, around central New York and that. And we did quite a few shows. And on my 30th birthday, I was quite nervous. It was my first time to play the big room at the Garden, Chuck Berry headlining again. Bob knew I was nervous, and one of the fellow musicians, gave me something to calm down, relax and all that. And Bobby called me over. He wanted to introduce me to Bo Diddley. I come walking over. He knew I had a buzz on, and it's the way he introduced me. He goes, "Duke, I want you to meet Mr. Diddley." And I just looked at him, and he had that grin on. And I don't know how I kept my composure, but I didn't want to insult both, so I did all I can. It still strikes me kind of funny, but I never dreamt that I would be playing places like the Garden, Radio City, and with the likes of Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Little Anthony, Shirelles, a number of acts. And all I ever wanted to do was be a good sideman. And Bobby gave me the opportunity to do that. And I learned so much playing with Bobby and being on the road. And, between riding the bus from city to city with all the acts and in the hotel rooms, it was just a dream come true for me. And I can never thank Bobby enough. Thank you, Bob, for the memories. And you were always a great friend to me, like a brother. And you'll always be in my heart, and I miss you. I miss you very much.
Hello, Bobby. This is Steve Odom. This is a tribute to some great times together, playing music over the years. God bless you. And going to New York and recording, and me coming to your gigs, you coming to my gigs, and just many, many years of knowing each other. Too many years to tell people about, and too many wonderful events. But I want you to rest in peace, and God bless you, Bobby. You gave us some great music over the years, and it was great coming to your 50-year tribute back in Ithaca when you came back, and we got up on stage, and you handed me your guitar, and we got up there and played some great music. I want to thank you for calling me up there to play with you. It was a great thing. So just loved it and love you. And my condolences to Debbie and all your family members, and just thank you for all the great years, Bobby. God bless you. Steve Odom here. Bye-bye.
Bobby Comstock. Where do you start? Well, let's start at the beginning. I got my first Sears & Roebuck K acoustic guitar in 1961. Jumped right in trying to keep up with my record player, and that is an experience. But for some reason, I was inextricably drawn to the bass lines. I'm a bass guy. So I started a band with 3 of my friends in 1963. No sooner had we finished our first gig when someone came up and said, "You guys are okay. Have you heard of Bobby Comstock?" I vaguely knew the name, but had never actually seen him. Unbeknownst to me, being in a band and playing local gigs automatically made you a member of the music scene. And Bobby Comstock was way out in front of that fraternity. Being that there were only a handful of full-time gigging bands, all using the same Valix booking agency, it was inevitable that Bob and I would meet. My first impression was, he's a regular guy, not full of himself, always interjecting that Bob chuckle somewhere in the conversation. As I got to know him, I realized that his persona of being a nice guy was actually the real thing. Being a full-time musician gave you an awareness, an automatic bond with your fellow players, regardless of who was in what band. Bands were bands, but for some reason, there wasn't really any competition. We all looked out for each other. With Bob, once you were a friend, unless there was something really extreme, you were a friend for life. He'd lend you his guitar, maybe helping a set up a gig, so on and so forth. I didn't realize the depth of Bob's concept of friendship until I joined his band in the late 1971. At first there was the leader sideman thing. That kind of went by the wayside after the first rehearsal. The band actually formed a catalyst for a deep and enduring friendship that will last long past our existence. I truly miss that "what's happening" when he would answer the phone, and the ensuing conversation for an hour or more. Conversations had no boundaries about the kids, home life, music, walking the dog, remembering quirky little things about this or that show, on and on and on. Bob, you provided me with experiences and memories that most musicians only dream of. You included me in 16 garden gigs and an untold number of arenas around the country. But nothing surpasses running that vamp in A, bringing Chuck Berry up on the stage, the glint in his eyes. He would look and nod at you and turn and look and nod at me, point to the drummer, be that Al Hartland, Al Vandenberg, or Charlie Cook, and say, "Oh my, we are among friends tonight." And the room would go berserk. Bob, you are forever in my memory, forever in my heart, forever my brother. And I end this as we did with every one of our phone conversations. I love you, man.
Hi, there's lots of memories that I have of my stepdad, Bobby Comstock. One thing that I want to talk about is things that I remember from him when I was in school. As a teenager, I had a lot of hard times, and he believed in me. There were a lot of times when I was in school that I didn't want to go to school. I felt, let's say maybe I felt sick, had a headache or something. I didn't want to go to school. So one thing that he would do is he would have like these mental health days where we would be able to stay home, and he called it a mental health day. In Pittsburgh, I had to go to a private school. I didn't really feel like I felt in at the school. I remember taking walks with him, and I believe it was after school. He would pick me up. We would take walks. I remember walking around a park area. He would take me to a store, and we would get a big cookie for him to cheer me up. The best memory that I have of him is more like a phrase. He would say, "How are you doing, kid?" I actually told my coworkers this when he passed. And they actually made me like a microphone. And there was a tag on it, and it said, "How are you doing, kid?" So he was very supportive. He knew I was going through hard times as a child, as a teenager. And the one phrase that stuck in my head was, "How are you doing, kid?" So, I miss you. I love you always.
How you doing? I'm Bass King Avery. I've had a lot of memories of Bobby Comstock. Played a lot of gigs with the cat and really enjoyed it over the years. But one memory is we were playing in New York, Madison Square Garden, and before we went down to the sound check, we just went to Manny's Music. And when we walked in, Henry, who owns the place, saw us come in, and he ran over and said, "Oh my God, it's Bobby Comstock." And I was in total shock because this guy knew everybody from the Beatles to Jimi Hendrix. And it was a pleasure playing with him. I miss the guy. Take care, man. Peace.
Hi, my name is Oliver. I met Bobby Comstock back in Ithaca around 1969. And we became friends. We used to run across each other back in Ithaca. We both were on the road doing music. And whenever we met in Ithaca, we would sit down and talk about what happened on the road. But I left Ithaca and moved to California, Long Beach, California. And lo and behold, who do I run across? Bobby Comstock in California. Man, we got together and we go to each other's house and we would sit down and talk about the music that we like and the music that we used to do. We would sit down and listen to Ray Charles. We would listen to James Brown, Bobby Comstock's music, and Tower of Power. And we both just had a great time, and those times will be missed. And I'd like to thank Deb for giving me the opportunity to say something good about Bobby. Bobby was definitely a good man, an honest man. And thank you.
Hi, this is Ron Ray in Syracuse. I just thrilled to do this terrific to my great friend Bobby Comstock. I go back some 58 years in Syracuse radio, back to those early days of Jambalaya and Garden of Eden, and then later I Want to Do It and Let's Stop, and on and on and on. What a great idea! What a great tribute to a guy who is legendary in my book. And to Bobby Comstock, if you're up there listening to this, my salute, my hat's off to you. You're a terrific example to so many great musicians in Syracuse. And I'm going to give you just one. I was sitting with the great Ronnie James Dio one day talking about his early career. And he said to me, "Ron, listen, if it wasn't for guys like Elvis Presley and Bobby Comstock, there would never been a Ronnie Dio or a Ronnie Dio and the Prophets, and that's the end of the story." And I thought once I heard that, then I really realized how much he meant to so many great people. So many of the people we think are legends, he influenced. So again, my hat's off to one of the great, great musicians, great people, and great friends of my time, the great Bobby Comstock.
Bob Comstock and I were little kids, 8, 9 years old, and we became friends. And his brother and I were best friends. And his brother, when I started playing drums when I was about 8 years old, he used to come by the attic and hear me play drums. He said, "You ought to be playing with my brother." And I said, "Well, I don't know about that." I said, "Your brother's got a good drummer playing with him right now, Dale Sherwood." So then I got to know Bobby, and Bobby started to hear the way I was playing. He started to like the way I played too. But I was too young to go on the road with him because I was a couple of years younger than him. So I could play in school dances and stuff, but I couldn't play in the bars or go on the road or none of that stuff. So as I got older, I said in 1960s, came up with the well-known joke. It's 1969. I started playing in this band. Something happened with the drummer he had, and Bobby wanted to hire me. He said, "Well, you ready to come play with me?" "Yeah, come play with me." So we went out and saw the world together. And every time I go on the road, my mother would say, "Bobby, watch out for Alan now. You're older. Make sure he changes his underwear and keeps himself clean." True story. And make sure he doesn't get any trouble in this and that. So Bobby's done it my whole life. So every aspect of my life, Bobby and I have talked together just about every day for our whole lives. He's been a best of friends. He's been a soul brother. You call it soul brother? Bobby Comstock was probably one of the best musicians I ever knew in my life. Made music easy for everybody to play. And that's it. I'm going to be missed. He's going to be missed. That's it. Is that enough? Is that...
Hi, folks. This is Joe Whiting, and I played with Bob on a couple of different occasions. In 1973, I did a stint with him, and in 1975, I did another one. Before I start anything, let me just say that Bob was a great guy. He was a great guy to make music with. He was a great mentor to me and taught me lessons that I still adhere to today. And I've got a couple of stories, I guess you could call them. We've all got a lot of stories, a lot of Bob's stories, but we've been told to kind of pare these down. So that's what I'm going to do with two instances. The first one was, I believe it was 1975. I think it was when we were doing a show in Madison Square, in Radio City Music Hall, called the Royalty of Rock, and we would open the show and back up anyone that needed a backup band. We were out shopping in the afternoon, and Bob had got a call about something I can't even remember, but it had to do with the show. We had to either have an extra rehearsal, something that kind of threw the gears into, clank. And, he was talking with the band, and he was, everyone was a little groused about it. And I, in a rather cavalier manner, said, well, the show must go on. Bob stopped in his tracks, looked me right in the eye, and just said, why? And it was almost like an epiphany, because right then I realized what he was telling me. It's just a show. It's not your life. It's not your wife. It's not your kids. It's not your home. In the end, it's just a show. And that has guided me all these years later to remember that no matter what happens, if you can make a gig, if you can't do it correctly, if you have to cancel it for God's sakes, or if somebody can't make the gig, always remember, it's just a gig. It's just a show. And to this day, and of course things are looser now, everybody's playing in about 5 different bands and no one can commit, and there's not that much work out there, quite frankly. But if I pitch a gig to the guys in the band and somebody can't make it, they either have a previous commitment, they're going to go out with their wife or girlfriend, they've had plans, I just say, it's only a gig. That's all it is. It's not your life. And it's a pretty important lesson. And I thank Bobby for that. The second thing is a little on the lighter side. We were somewhere, just checking into a gig somewhere, and Bob was talking to somebody in the band, and he was talking about the getaway. And I said, Bob, what is the getaway? And he said, whenever you show up at a gig, no matter where it is, the first thing that you want to do is you want to check out where the exits are, where you came in, remember where you parked your vehicle, and how you're going to get out of there in case something happens. And I said, what do you mean something happens? He goes, could be a fire, could be a fight, could be having trouble getting paid, could be some guy wants to take a swing at you because his girl's making eyes at you. But you have to plan the getaway. And so again, all these years later, even if I'm going into a place that I've played dozens of times, always in my mind, plan the getaway. And Bobby taught me that. And I gotta just say that, I really admired Bob. He always had a good band. I wasn't with him that long, but we retained our friendship, and I had a chance to touch base with him when he was inducted into the Syracuse Area Music Hall of Fame, long overdue and well deserved. And we talked on the phone some, and he stopped over the house once, which is another story, but I won't get into that now. But I know, Deb, that nobody misses him more than you or the kids. But I just want to let you know, I miss him too. And so this is just my little bit of a tribute to my good friend, my mentor, Bobby Comstock. Thank you, Bobby.
Hi, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Melissa and I'm Bob's daughter. I was really lucky that I got to spend the last couple of days of Dad's life with him, with Deb and Dorian out at their house in Long Beach. Even though it was a sad time, it was really hard, he knew that I was there, and I was really, really happy that I got to spend that last bit of time with him and to be able to tell him that I love him face to face. Dad and I were really close. He was a part of my daily life and called and checked in on me all the time. Even though some days he just called to say, did you make it home from work okay? Because I drive home late at night from work. Or he would call and tell me that it was going to snow or that it was supposed to rain. And even though he was 3,000 miles away, he really wanted to make sure that we were good and happy and healthy. He made a really strong effort to keep in touch with me and to keep in touch with my children, Markel and Maya. He checked in on them and he tried to find ways to connect with them. He and my son share a love of the Yankees. And he would call and they would talk about sports. And my son was lucky enough to get an internship working for a minor league team in Virginia. And when Dad came out to visit, we were able to all go to a game together. So I know that that was really something that meant a lot to my son and to Dad. My daughter sang in show choir in high school and loves music. So that was an area where he and her could really, really connect. So he was able to come and see her last show choir concert and see her sing live. He was able to come out in the last couple of years and see my son graduate from college, to see her graduate from high school. And for that, I'm really thankful. I was trying to find a memory of something that was different from his musical background, and everything that I came up with had something to do with food. He actually was the primary cook in our house when I was a kid due to the schedule that my mom worked, and dinner with him got to be a daily thing. And he learned how to make my mom's family spaghetti sauce. So if any of you have ever eaten with him or spent any time with him, you probably got to have some sauce. That was the thing he was going to make for you if he was really excited and that he was really happy that you were there. So he and my brother actually know how to make it. I can't make it come out right, but I think that's okay because at least he passed it along to him. I realized that a lot of my memories centered around food, whether it was making sauce for his friends, whether it was making breakfast burritos for everyone, or whether it was just making lunches for Deb or breakfast and stuff for her to take to work. Everything, he just didn't want anybody to be hungry. Everything was about keeping everybody happy, healthy, and safe. I knew he was a musician. I knew he played music. I knew, that he was talented, but it wasn't until I got to see them at the Haunt in around 2010 as an adult that I realized how talented and lucky I was to have this person in my family and in my life. But I had him in a different way. I just had him as my dad. So hopefully this helps explain why we all love and miss him so much. Thanks.
Hi, this is Jamo. Sending out a tribute to Bobby Comstock, my old dear friend who has passed on now. Bobby and I met when I was only 15. He was maybe 20, 21. And he had 2 records in the top 10 at the time. And he was a very famous guy. And I'll never forget going to bars with him in Syracuse and stuff. And, people treated him like he was Elvis Presley. So it was great. But in those years, Bobby taught me a whole lot about fronting a band. That's what he taught me so much about. It taught me how to, get up there and get people's attention and make them feel it, feel the feeling. he was a magic at it, and he taught me a whole lot of it. I've sang with his band many times. We became great friends. He played with my band many times. So we had a lot of wonderful times together. And I'll never forget him. And may he rest in peace there in rock and roll heaven with all of his other buddies. So thank you.
Growing up with my dad was an interesting proposition. You didn't see a lot of him because he was on the road a lot, and when I was a teenager, I was able to travel with him and meet an awful lot of the people that were his peers back in the 50s and 60s. That's a fortunate thing for me. I would never have made a life out of it as he did, but I am grateful that he allowed me to come along on one of the trips, or several of them, I guess, and meet all these wonderful people. Got a chance to get it from his perspective. Dad, I love you. I miss you. I think of you. It was kind of weird not getting that phone call at Christmas time this year. And hope you're rocking up in heaven with all your friends up there. We'll see you when I get there, which hopefully won't be for a while yet, but do take care.
Hello, everyone. This is Bobby Del Vecchio, coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. And I've got to tell you, I'm here to pay tribute to a great friend and musician, Bobby Comstock. A few words to tell you how Bobby and I were like brothers with each other. We went everywhere together. You know, Duke had contacted me recently and asked if I would pay tribute to Bobby and talk a little bit about some of my experiences with him, which were absolutely amazing. You know, I remember getting a call from John Perriellis asking me to come down to audition for Bobby's band. And I came down and met with Larry and Bobby and Mitch, and we jammed for a couple of hours. And at the end, we looked at each other and we just said, rock on, and Comstock Limited was born. We played everywhere in the Northeast, every college, arena, and then went on to play with Rich Nair's Rock and Roll Revival, and Dick Clark's Caravan of Stars. We toured the country, US and Canada, playing all types of arenas, Madison Square Garden several times, backing artists such as Jackie Wilson, Bo Diddley, Chubby Checker, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry, and the Shirelles, the Coasters, and a host of others. We had such a blast working together and backing these incredible legends. You know, I want to say that one of the most important things in my life happened about a year ago. God blessed me with reconnecting with Bobby after 40 years. We got on the phone, we started talking. We talked for about an hour, and then I said, you know, Bobby, I gotta get going, but let's keep in touch with each other. And then Bobby started reminiscing about other shows and things that we had done together, our famous rock and roll medley that we would get a standing ovation for. We went on for another hour. And then, of course, by then I was exhausted, and I said, Bobby, we've gotta hang up and let's keep in touch with each other. Let's call each other again in a few months. And we went on for another hour. I mean, the guy wouldn't get off the phone. He was like a brother to me. He was just the most sincere, well-mannered, greatest musician I've ever worked with. The guy was just absolutely incredible. Knew how to put together a band, knew how to put together great songs. And it was sad to say, a few months later, he passed on and went to heaven. I'm sure he's leading a great band in heaven right now. And I've got to tell you that we made history together. The groups in upstate New York were some of the best musicians and bands I've ever heard in my life. And many of them went on to national recognition, as myself. I went on to play with the Edgar Winter Group and had a ball, but nothing compares to the times and the music that we played and just performed throughout the world. It was just amazing. You know, I want to go on and I want to say that Bobby is, it's really hard to think about him passing on. I mean, he was such a forever friend. So Bobby, this is for you, and a tribute to you and your family. God bless you and rock on. I love you, Bobby Dell. God bless.
I'm Dorian, Bob's stepdaughter. I was in 4th grade when Bob came to live with us in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He didn't have much more than a paper sack of belongings under his arm at the time. I didn't know who the heck he was, but in a place where neither of us knew anyone, he became my best friend fast, as you can see evidenced here in this poem about my best older friend. From Pittsburgh to Buffalo to Long Beach, where we are now, I have many wonderful memories of Bob. He woke me up for school every morning and picked me up there late at night after I was finished with yearbook. He made me soup when I was sick, and every now and again, he let me home. And Sundays, he'd drive the minivan up and down the block to help me deliver these newspapers. And he also taught me to drive in that very same minivan. I did not take driver's ed. I took Bob's driver's ed. And I passed my driver's test on the very first try. I always gave him the same gift for Christmas, a crazy pair of boxer shorts like this one, which is the only one that made it all the way till the end. I imagine because he never wore these, he never seriously wore these ever once. Hence why they made it into the souvenir box, really. What I'll always remember the most about Bob was his unconditional love and the utter lack of judgment that he had towards others. To Bob, it didn't matter who you were or where you came from. To him, you are a human being worthy of love. And I will always remember that and miss him. Thanks.
I'd like to take this moment to introduce someone who was on that tape, Joel Warren. Joel is going to say a few words about some plans we have for a memorial for Bobby in Ithaca. Joel, can you unmute yourself?
I don't know if he can. I might have to hold on.
Can you do it for him?
Yes, I'm in charge here. Where's Joel? Did it ask you to unmute, Joel? Did it do it? It's not doing it. Do I have to do change the security? Here, there. Don't abuse it. I just said everybody can unmute themselves now. Don't abuse it. Is it working now, Joel? Oh, wait, it almost did. Try one more time. There we
How's
go.
that?
Success.
So you can hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. You know, a Facebook group page is nice, but from my way of thinking, there should be a permanent something somewhere in Ithaca to celebrate Bob. I don't know if it's possible to have a Stewart Park Pavilion named in his honor or some type of art object. Not a statue, but a marker of some kind. Maybe something of a music theme done by, there's a guy here called Duran Forge. He does really amazing work. The point is, I'd like to assemble a small group of volunteers to help make this happen. Deb set up a GoFundMe page in advance to cover the project's fabrication expenses. But if if you have managerial experience or have worked on other project committees, we could really use your help. You can contact me directly through the messaging at the Bobby Comstock Band Facebook page. So I don't know what else to say. I'm just going to do what we can. I'm talking to Ron Ray and some of the other guys to try to gin up some activity for this, and we'll do what we can.
Thank you, Joel. Before I close this out, just like to say a few more words. And also when we're done, if you'd like to hang around and share any stories or memories about Bob, please, you're more than welcome to do so. We'll leave you unmuted and you can share your stories. Bob died on January 9th, 2020. He died at home in his room with Willie Nelson playing in his ears. He died in his sleep. He just never woke up. But Dorian was by his side that whole night, so he was not alone. I want to end this with some lyrics from a song by Willie did it. Bob used to sing this song at 12-step musicians meetings. It meant a lot to him. And I'd like to share it with you. Hang on just a second. Oops. Hang on. This is not working. Let's see.
The stop share at the top.
Yeah. Let me do it this way. Okay. Keeps going back. Okay. Let's see if I can share. I can't share. Why can't I share? All right, try this. There we go. Perfect. The song is called Hands on the Wheel. And the lyrics are, at a time when the world seems to be spinning hopelessly out of control, there's deceivers and believers and old in-betweeners that seem to have no place to go. Well, it's the same old song, it's right and it's wrong, and living is just something that I do. With no place to hide, I looked in your eyes and I found myself in you. I looked to the stars, tried all of the bars, and I've nearly gone up in smoke. Now my hand's on the wheel. I've something that's real, and I feel like I'm going home. Love you, Bob. Thank you all very much for coming. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the family. It's good to see a lot of wonderful faces. I love you all very much. And if you'd like to stay and share a story about Bob, maybe just raise your hand or and let me know, and I can call him. You can go ahead and start. And we'll leave the stories to maybe 2 or 3 minutes in case there's several people who want to share.
There's a little button at the bottom of your screen that says reactions. If you click on that, you can click raise hand to show that you want to share.
This is kind of like the virtual dinner after the funeral when people stand around and tell stories. So don't be shy.
Boy.
Oh, looks like Glenn has one.
Glenn.
Hi. Bob and Deborah, my neighbors in Long Beach. So I really didn't get to know Bob really well, but we used to walk dogs together. Actually, I walked his dog with him, and he just loved to sit on the porch and talk about music, and I loved to listen. I'll miss him. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
I was thinking of something that I wanted to share that wasn't on my video when Caitlin was talking about how Bob used to go on walks with her. I remember when Bob took us on a walk for like 4 hours when we moved to Buffalo, and he pretended he didn't know where we were. He pretended he didn't know where the house was. He made us walk around for like 4 hours to find the house. Think about that. I was very angry at him. I was like, what do you mean you don't know where we live? He's like, we just moved here. I don't know where we are.
Sounds pretty typical. One thing that I left out was, Bob was generous to a fault. And anytime he would get any money, he was an inveterate lotto player. He played the lotto every day, drove me nuts. And but every now and then he'd hit it, and he'd get some money, and by the next day the money would just be gone. And I would say, Bob, what happened to the money? And he would have given it away. He was like, he would either give it to Melissa or Bobby. Oh, well, things were a little tight this month, I gave it to them. Or he'd give it to some random guy down the street, who was out of work and needed gas money. He'd just give them the money, because money meant absolutely nothing to Bob. Bob had no use for money except when it could help somebody else out. And that was what he loved to do more than anything in the world, was, help people out, support them, help them reach their dreams. That was what made him happy. So he was always broke.
Should I tell the Kate story?
Yes, you should, Joel.
Okay. Okay, all right, here we go. As you all know, Bob did not have his hands on the steering wheel until he was in his 50s. Well, then let's see. Katie was born in '83, so I think she was maybe 3 years old. Bob calls and says, "Hey man, you going into town anytime soon?" And it just so happened to be that we were. So we stopped by the house and picked him up. And he gets in the back seat, and little Katie is sitting in her car seat. And he leans over to her and he goes, "Hey, Katie, you want a boogie?" Katie looks at him and goes, "Shut up, Bob." And he looked, his eyes got really big, and he had his cigarette and he was rolling it between his middle finger and his thumb. And he leaned forward to me and he says, "I think she means it." And I got one more bus story. This is a funny one. It kind of, you had to be there, but then again, most bus stories are that way. We were going from New York to Washington, D.C. to play at the Constitution Hall. And we had to get on the bus about 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, to be in Washington for a sound check at 1. So long about 10 o'clock, we're sitting in the back of the bus. The bus has got a seat in the back and then another seat and a table. One seat is facing the road looking backwards, and the other seat is facing the front. And there's a table there. And we're all sitting around there. The guys in the band are sitting around there. We're just shooting the breeze and doing whatever we're going to do. And all of a sudden, I see little Richard coming walking towards the back of the bus. And he saunters on, and he's got this big ass grin on his face. And he sits down and he puts his elbows right around Bob's head. And Bob kind of was bending around looking at that, and you could see that it was Richard's arms. And Bob started getting this, oh no, now what's going to happen thing. And Richard says, well, what are you boys doing? And we said, yeah, we're just hanging out. And he said, then he gets up and he sticks his finger out like Richard does. He goes, I want to tell you that you have my permission to have your picture taken with me anytime that you wish. And we all looked at him and went, back to the front of the bus, Richard. Front of the bus, please.
Caitlin, did you wanted to unmute?
Yes. Yeah. Hi. So I'm Caitlin Motes. I'm Bob's stepdaughter. One thing that I wanted to share that I didn't have in the video, and I was like, darn, I should have put this in the video. But one thing that I remember from him is my graduations, my high school graduation, college graduation, and he would be the loudest voice when they called my name. He would be like, yeah, Kate. And you could hear him through all the cheers and everything. And then when I got my master's degree, it was through Trident University in California. And I went there to my graduation. And at that time, he was too sick to go to my graduation. But it was weird when I was walking across the stage. I'm gonna cry. I always do this. So when I was walking across the stage, I could hear, cheering and all that stuff, but I could hear, yeah, Kate, even though he wasn't there, because it was just Bob. He was the loudest voice there at my graduations, just, cheering me on. And when I was walking across the stage, I could hear that, like he was there. But I was lucky enough to see him, the summer before he passed. And you saw in the first video of him and myself at my right before my graduation, right before walking across the stage. And he was just so proud of me. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ron, I just muted you because there was a little bit of feedback, but please unmute yourself again and speak. Sorry, I'm on Zoom for my job all the time, so I'm used to just like muting people for background noise and stuff. So please go on.
Can you hear my audio okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to say a couple of things because I could talk about Bobby Comstock all night. I do university classes, high school music classes. And one thing that always struck me, can you imagine somebody starting their career, being on with Alan Freed 7 straight days, talking with the greatest broadcaster in rock history, going on to be on the Dick Clark bandstand and beach nut shows 5 times to a national audience, being in the movies, and then turning around and being the music director of one of the greatest rock and roll shows of all time, the Richard Nader Rock Revival, playing with the greatest names in rock and roll history. And it always blew my mind because Bob was not one of these guys that went out and really talked about himself in great detail. I mean, I had to ask him a certain questions. I know when he and Deb and I went to lunch a few times, I had to ask certain things that I really wanted to find out about his career. But, I found out what happened. Oh my gosh, he was on the background of My Boyfriend's Back by the Angels. He backed up Freddie Cannon on a lot of Freddie Cannon's national hits. And there was so many musical things that most people didn't know about this great entertainer. And I just tip my hat. I've been in the radio business 58 years in Syracuse. One of the greatest entertainers I've ever seen. And in my story, when I was talking with the great Ronnie James Dio, I was asking him how he got started. And, he said to me, quote, if it wouldn't have been for Bobby Comstock, there would have never been a Ronnie Dio or a Ronnie Dio and the Prophets or Elf or me and Black Sabbath or me and Rainbow. It was Bobby Comstock who was the guy that led all us great Cortland musicians, you know, to the music promised land.
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Patty. Patty Hall? Can you unmute?
Should be able to hear her now.
Try again. And maybe she's not there.
Yeah, it says the audio is connected and that she's unmuted. But
Yeah, she might have just stepped away for a minute.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, Sandy.
Hi, my name's Sandy, and I did not know Bobby Comstock, and he sounds like an amazing man. And Deb, this memorial was beautiful and so very special. Throughout the memorial, I was watching you a lot, and I can't tell you, you were glowing. You were enjoying what people were saying, but what I could tell is that you and this man, that you had a profound love that is rare, and you could just see it all over you. And I'm so glad you got to share that with someone who seems to be just a very special gentleman. I wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. He was very special. Very lucky. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did.
Thank you, Deb. That was really, really wonderful.
Thank you. It was awesome, Deb.
And of course,
Totally.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Awesome.
Rich.
Hello, hi. Hi, Deb and family. I just want to give you a big, giant virtual hug.
Thanks, cuz.
The time that Annie and I got to spend with Bob were always wonderful. He was always kind and always welcoming. And I always appreciated how much you cared for one another. And I didn't really fully grasp his history. So the history lesson I got today was wonderfully special. And like I said, I just offer a big virtual hug to you and yours, and be well. And the reunion is on the way soon. One of these days, we're going to get together again. Peace.
I know Annie and Rich, he just adored both of you. So thank you.
Sweet guy, always very welcoming, always warm. We had some laughs, felt like we knew each other for a long time. But I don't think I really was able to comprehend the depth of his musical career, because he wasn't a braggart.
No.
He said, oh, I did this with so-and-so. Oh, you listen to that music. Yeah, I like music. I really got a good lesson tonight, so thank you.
You're welcome. Norma?
Here tonight, Debbie.
Oh, wait a minute. Can we let Annie speak first, because they were going to go?
Yeah, it's been a joy to come tonight and have listened to the memorial of your husband, Bob. And I have to say the music was fabulous, because it brought me back to when I was a girl, you know, and I found myself jigging a little bit. And I was looking at the Lewis girls' hair, and you've got beautiful hair, the two of you, Sue and yourself. And I was admiring your hair. But anyway, thanks for inviting us to join the celebration of Bob's memory, and stay well. and we may meet again someday, okay?
I hope so.
Okay. God bless you.
I'm sorry, Norma.
Oh, I just was wondering if you recorded the memorial.
I did record it. I missed about the first 2 minutes because that's the way I am. I'm always forgetting to hit the record button, but yes, I did record it.
I recorded everything. I don't even know that you did record it, because I think I'm in charge here. So I think I have, but we also obviously have the 2 videos by themselves too. So I'll upload all 3. So this video and then the 2 videos that we showed, I'll upload them to YouTube and make those links available to whoever wants them.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Brad, did you want to say? I think Brad was trying to say, waving too. He's just waving to say hi. He doesn't want to speak. Oh, okay.
Is my microphone working by any chance right now?
Oh, yes, it is, Patty. Yeah, great.
Okay. Do you mind if I jump in?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely
I met
not.
Bob when I was 4 years old when we moved to Ithaca. Bobby Jr. was probably 3. But some of my most favorite childhood memories were time and hours that I spent in their basement, listening to the guys' band practice, all the laughter that was at their house. It was the coolest place in the world to hang out and to grow up. And Bob never tried to chase us away. He always encouraged us to hang out, to learn. He'd try and get you to sing. He even spent many unsuccessful hours trying to teach me how to play guitar. And most importantly to me, he helped me through my first heartbreak and my first crush when Bobby Del Vecchio moved away. And even though he was probably 20 years older than me, it broke my heart. And he gave me a record, something about coffee in his cup. It was a B-side of one of his records. So if anybody there knows it, please tell me what it was, because I cannot remember it. And I'm sure I lost it years and years ago. But it was one of my best birthday presents when I think I turned 13.
Thank you so much. Susan.
Yeah, I don't know how to participate.
You're participating.
Oh, great. I'm such a technological nerd. Deb, this was great. You know, I was looking for some way to process Bob's passing, being so separated by all the miles and other things. And this did it for me. And I'm very grateful to you and Dorian and Caitlin and for putting this together. It's great to see my family members and also to put faces to names that I've seen you and Bob talk about all these years. I miss him. He brought a lot of light into your life and into my niece's lives. I was very grateful for that. I was grateful for all the stories. And every time I tried to throw him a curve on, did you know so-and-so? Did you know Gordon Lightfoot? Did you know? He always had a great story. I miss him. I celebrate him with all of you.
Thank you. Last chance. Sharon.
Yeah, I'll just say thank you so much for inviting me and my mom and my brother, and we're so glad that we can be here with you. And I'm in the same boat as some other people. I only met Bob one time at your mother's funeral. And I know Russell was talking with him, and then afterwards Russell said, Deb's husband is a famous guitar player, and he played Elvis. And I never knew that actually until then. And I wish I had talked to him more at that funeral. I talked to him a little bit, but anyway, I'm glad I got to be here and learn more about his life, and sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
And Velma too. Thank you very much. And Russell, I see you down there too.
Eileen. I just.
Oh, Eileen.
I just wanted to say thank you too. And, you know, I knew Bob for a few years sitting next to him on the sand in Sunset Beach with you and him. And I personally didn't know all of that history. And like somebody already said, Bob was never a bragger or was just always a humble, kind, gentle soul. And even though, you know, I didn't really get to know him the last couple of years, I very fondly remember both of you always together, inseparable. And that just really shines through this memorial too. So I was grateful to get to sit next to him on the sand all those years. So yeah, just sending you love and a big virtual hug too.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Deb?
Yeah, Hope.
Hi. You said earlier in the service today that Bob told you the most important thing was family. And I think that that really came through in the service that you and your family and Bob's family gave to him today. And it's clear that his love and passion for music was contagious to everybody that he came across, and that there are probably hundreds of stories that people will think of when the service is over today. And so I hope everybody continues to reach out to you and share those with you, because those memories are the things that keep alive and in everybody's heart. So I send you and the family lots of love today.
Thank you so much for coming, Hope.
I can't believe how long Hope's hair is.
It's COVID. We all are like that. It's COVID hair.
Looks great.
Ron, did you have something else? Your fingers are up.
I had one last thing to add. I had the honor of making the phone call to Bob in 2015 on behalf of the Syracuse music community to announce to Bob that he was going to be inducted into the Syracuse Area Music Hall of Fame. And I have talked to, you name it, everybody in the music business you can think of, I have talked to at one time or another. But that phone call that I made to Bob, he was so touched at the thought that he would be put in Syracuse music, thought so much of him in his career that he would be inducted in our Hall of Fame. And when you two came to Syracuse for the ceremony in the induction, he just said to me, "This is one of the greatest music moments I've ever had." And I thought to myself, this is one of the greatest music moments I've ever had, doing that for you, Bob. And it meant probably as much to me as it did to him, making him that presentation, Deb.
It was a really great night, Ron.
Yeah. A great man, a great friend, and a great human being.
I promised I wasn't going to cry.
You did better than me.
Yeah, I know.
Rock and roll will never die.
Is there any crying in rock and roll? There's no crying in rock and roll, right?
It's my party, and I'll cry if I want.
If I want to. Deb, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who put this on, who helped you out, and all the people who shared it, and the videos that were done in the beginning. They were just beautiful. And it really let me know the guy that I was listening to when I was growing up in Passaic, New Jersey, with the Shirelles, with Bobby V. You know, it was like a big culture back then. And You know, I had shared with you earlier that I came home and started looking up all his records and stuff and playing them, and I still knew all the words, because these are the things we danced to at the sock ops at school. And you know, American Bandstand, I watched it every Saturday on TV. I mean, he was a big part of that time in my life, and to see that really was just really special to me. So thank you. And I know how much you loved him. And I remember seeing him play at the music meetings, and I would just love it when he would do that, you know, and yeah, really special. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb, there's one thing that I have to mention,
Yes.
and that is I talked to Bob Feldman this morning, and he was desperately trying to get on here, but for some reason he couldn't. He messaged me 3 times trying to figure out how to get on here to be part of this, but for some reason I don't see him in this thing, so he didn't make that connection. But he just loved Bobby to death, and he said that. I said, you know, everybody's going to be, you know, talking about Bob this night. He said, well, you know, I think I produced more records for Bobby than anybody else. And so I just wanted to make that part of this, that Feldman was really trying to be part of this, but for some reason just couldn't get here.
Yeah, that's, yeah, understandable. I've tried to shut this down 3 times now. This is like a conversation with Bob.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, it's exactly like that.
Get him on the phone and you go, okay, I gotta go now. No, let me just tell you that.
Or be like, oh, were you calling for something? Do you want something? Is there something? No, just calling to say hi. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hi, Deb. Hi, Deb.
Hi, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to say how such a wonderful event you've put on.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, Jennifer. I thanked you before, but I didn't see that you were on. Jennifer Kim down there did the music and the photo montage for me. So thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
No problem. I got a nice little history lesson. The music is stuck in my head. And now it's on my iPhone, so I can listen to it. But this was really touching. So thank you for letting me be part of it in some small way.
So kind. Brad, did you want to say something? You're waving. No, you're just saying goodbye.
I'm just saying thank you, Deb. Thank you, Dorian. I was just saying goodbye. Yeah. Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Yeah, people, you can drop off anytime.
And
thank you guys. I'm just gonna wish everybody big love. Big love to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying good night too. Wonderful. Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb. It was wonderful. Love you.
Love you.